In this installment of our series, we're going to take a look at some other functions that are available in the editor. For the purposes of this lesson, what I had done is I downloaded a book from Bookshare and as a Word file. And the reason I did that is because I wanted a little bit more text to play with. So the book I downloaded was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So just as an FYI, just so you know what we're looking in. In one of the last videos, we talked about what reading mode is. And reading mode, if you'll remember, is putting your Chameleon in a mode where you don't accidentally make edits. This is a perfect example. So I'm going to turn on reading mode with space and the letter X. And it's going to give me a flash message letting me know that reading mode is enabled. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure I'm at the top of the file. And I am. And we're going to take just a quick look at how to navigate by character without, and character, word, line, paragraph, without using our cursor routing keys. This isn't quite as important if you're going character by character, but word by word and line by line and paragraph by paragraph, it might, be a little more convenient to move those larger chunks rather than just kind of advancing your Braille display, especially since it's only a 20-cell display. So let's start out with the smallest increment, and that's obviously going to be character. So my cursor is focused on the first character in this title, or in the top of this book. So to move it to the next character, I'm going to use a space plus a .6. So I've got my finger on the cursor here, and it's moving character by character. And if I want to go backwards, I'm going to do a space and a .3, So backwards, it's hard to follow it with my finger when I'm using those to navigate down this way. It's hard to keep your finger on it. But I'm going to go back to the top with a space plus dots 1, 2, 3, and I'm there now. And as you can, well, you probably can't tell, but I have made no edits again because I'm in the reading mode. The next largest chunk that we navigate by is going to be word. So what's funny is you start with the outside dots 3 and 6 to navigate by character. To navigate by word, you're going to go in some, one more, and you're going to navigate by dots 2 and 5. So to move forward by word, we're going to do a space plus a .5. So I've got my finger on that cursor again. And oops, yep, we jumped a whole word. Oops, jumping another whole word. And you'll notice maybe you won't notice, as I move forward, it advances the display as needed. So now I'm just going to go backwards by word. So space plus a .2. And backwards. And it's going to be, the cursor is going to be right here at the beginning of the display here when you go backwards. It's at the end when you go forwards, which makes sense because you're going forward. So I'm going to go again to the top of the file. The next largest chunk is going to be line. So to do by line, if we follow the pattern, it's with dots 1 and 4. So I'm going to hold down the space and I'm going to type a .4. And it's going to advance by line. Now the cursor is going to be at the beginning of this line because it's advancing by line. So I'm going to go ahead and it's like, yep, here we're still, there's this copyrighted book, blah, 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 yeah. So we're still in that sort of language. So again, to go backwards, with the space with the .1. So backwards, line by line. Pretty easy. I'm going to go to the top of the file again, and we're going to go by paragraph this time. So to go by paragraph, we're going to hold down a space bar, and to go forward a paragraph is dots 5 and 6. So we're going to, by paragraph. And here we go. We're moving a little bit faster through this copyright notice book deal, So I'm telling you, they use the word copyright a lot here. And they should, because they want to make sure that everybody's rights are protected. So to go backwards by paragraph, you're going to hold down the space and dots 2 and 3. So that's backwards by paragraph. It's a lot more interesting when you're actually in a story. So, but we're going to get there in just a second. So what I'm going to do now is I want to do a find command. Doing a find command is extremely helpful because you can look for specific text. And we're going to show you how to find that now. So I'm going to go to the top of the file just to make sure that we know where we're starting from, as usual. And to find the text, I'm going to enter a space plus the letter F. And it's going to bring up, it's going to say find, and it's going to have a space for you to put in whatever you want to find. The previously found or previously used text will already be filled in here, and you can get rid of it just by hitting spacebar and backspace, and it will erase. So I'm going to enter the word chapter, Chapter, and I'm going to hit enter, and it popped me to chapter 1, The Boy Who Lived. If I want to go to the next chapter, I can do a space with the letter N for next. So let me look here. Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Okay, so now I've gone by the next chapter. I can continue to do this to go to the next find as we continue forward. The next thing we're going to take a really relatively quick look at is deletion. And if you'll recall, we put our Chameleon in read mode. So we have to take it out of read mode in order to make any of this work. So I'm going to do a space plus the letter X. And it's going to give me a flash message that says I'm in editing mode again. And I'm just going to physically take my cursor and put it at the beginning of the word chapter from chapter 2. All right. So there's a couple of things that I can do as far as how to delete. If I want to delete the character that is located physically to the left of or before the word chapter, and I don't want to do that. If I wanted to do that, I would press a backspace. But that's kind of an easy thing. I want to focus on some things that we might not already be aware of. So if I'm focused on this current word, I can do, and I want to delete it, I can do a backspace plus 2 and 5. And now what happened is now I have the word 2, the vanishing, and on the next side we'll have glass. So now, oops, hold on, I advanced the display. Here we go. So now I'm focused on the word glass. There we go. And so what I want to do, if I want to delete the word before that, which of course we know is vanishing, to delete that, I'm going to do a backspace plus just the dot 2. So now the display says to the glass. So vanishing obviously went away, and we still have just to the glass. So we deleted those things. Sometimes with these sorts of deletions, you have to just kind of look around and maybe add or delete some extra spacing in there to kind of clean it up a little bit. But for the most part, deleting is relatively easy. It gets much, much easier as you progress. In the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about cut, copy, and paste and selecting text in a file. And we're going to keep on using this file. So we have it, so why not use it, right? So thanks a lot. Hope you have enjoyed this video and that it has been helpful.